It's one of the fastest growing cities in Wisconsin, which is why some say Sun Prairie needs another high school.
And after a year of negotiations, Dane County shares why it's ending its partnership with a nonprofit that fundraises for the Henry Vilas Zoo.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 10.
Thanks for joining us. Sun Prairie has been growing rapidly for years, and its local school district is trying to keep up.
Officials are asking voters to approve a multi-million-dollar referendum. Keely Arthur explains tonight how it would help if taxpayers approve it. Keely?
Well, Eric and Charlotte, if approved, the owner of a $250,000 home would pay $320 more in property taxes a year. School board and district officials say it's money well spent.
I've lived in Sun Prairie for 21 years.
Watching his two kids and their district grow over time.
Since we moved here in '97, I want to say the district has doubled in size.
Now serving as school board treasurer, Dave Hoekstra believes a new high school is essential to keep up with that growth.
We need to do something with our kids. Right now, the high school is at target capacity.
And predicted to reach maximum capacity within the next 2 to 3 years.
The geographic location of Sun Prairie, the quality of the schools make this a real marketable place for people to want to come and raise their kids.
On April 2nd, those residents will see 2 questions on their ballot. The first asks for permission to borrow $164 million to build a second high school to serve more than 1,600 students on land already owned by Sun Prairie schools. The second asks to permanently raise the state revenue limit by $5 million per year to operate the new school, lessen borrowing costs, and boost teacher pay.
This place is sort of sacred ground for Sun Prairie. It's called Ashley Field.
It would also allow for upgrades at the district's Ashley Field, creating a multi-purpose stadium. Hoekstra is hoping the district will have better luck than 13 years ago when voters rejected the idea of a second high school.
So it is a different district than my kids went to.
Now, in 2016, voters approved the construction of 2 elementary schools. Superintendent Brad Sarin said given the community's growth, future referendums are certainly a possibility.
Keely, thank you. It's something we will be sure to follow.
State Department of Justice is releasing new school safety guidelines. The 89-page Wisconsin School Threat Assessment Protocol and the Wisconsin Comprehensive School Security Framework features the best practices to keep schools and students safe for teachers, administrators, and law enforcement. Among the suggestions, interviewing and monitoring school threats and improving school physical barriers prevent attackers from entering schools.
Dane County is ending its partnership with the Henry Vilas Zoological Society. The nonprofit fundraises for the zoo and employs people to work the concessions and attractions. After negotiating for almost a year, the county has decided to end their long-term relationship with the society, changing the way they collect money and who they partner with to raise money. Dane County Executive Joe Parisi says in recent years, funds raised at the zoo were going to accounts inaccessible to the zoo. He adds that everyone's experience at the zoo will stay the same, but things behind the scenes will change.
Right now, to the best of our knowledge, there's about $6 million in one account. But then there's also an account that's an endowment that we really don't have a lot of information about. And we're not accusing anyone of any wrongdoing. We're just concerned about the lack of transparency.
We're surprised that we'd want to end this successful relationship because in the last 5 years in particular, it has been nothing but successful.
The society has asked Parisi to reconsider, saying the county's zoo director attended meetings where they discussed this endowment fund, and the fund was established to provide a safety net to ensure long-term stability of the zoo. As for the 13 full-time staff members and 63 part-time staff working on the zoo grounds, the Zoological Society tells us if a contract is not signed by the end of the month, they will have to be let go. And we should also mention that News 3 now has a joint marketing agreement with the Friends of the Henry Vilas Zoo, which includes various things like sponsorship of zoo events and the weather camera that you see on the air.
As floodwaters recede across the area, recovery efforts are underway in Lodi after a number of businesses were damaged along South Main Street.
The creek crested at 9 feet on Thursday, shattering the previous high of 8.4 feet set in 2008. Today, it's around 5 feet. Business owners are documenting their damage to the Columbia County Emergency Management Office. The county is working on obtaining public assistance to help offset costs of the damage. And the Crawfish River, also in Columbia County, is going down. Some people people in Columbus are still out of their homes because of the flooding. The bridge across Highway 60 in Columbus remains closed today. A nearby resident told News 3 Now it could be a week before it reopens because it would need to be inspected.
And flooding has been an issue in a lot of areas. Flood watches and warnings have been posted from North Dakota all the way down to Louisiana. This is some of the damage in Nebraska as well as western Iowa. 3 deaths have been linked to the flooding. The Missouri River isn't expected to crest until Thursday. More flooding is likely when all that water reaches the Mississippi. Good news is here we are drying out. Here's meteorologist Dana Fulton. Dana?
The sunshine that we had today, certainly good news for southern Wisconsin and throughout the plains in the Midwest. A really quiet afternoon for us. Tuesday also looking pretty quiet. Now, right now it's about 34 in Madison. We have a west-southwest breeze, so our wind chill not much of a factor for us overnight. That breeze is going to stay pretty calm and quiet. Again, 34 in Madison and in Janesville, about 36 in Mineral Point right now, and 33 in Platteville. Our Doppler track has been quiet for the last few hours. A few clouds building in for us. We're looking at a partly cloudy start to tomorrow, but again, it's just going to be a little cool without too much wind to factor in. Overall tomorrow, though, once the clouds clear out early in the morning, we will have a mostly sunny sky. Temps will be above average. We're expecting really a similar forecast to what we had today, if not just a little more mild for Tuesday. And that mild trend is going to carry us all the way towards the weekend. We'll take a closer look at what's ahead for the next several days in just a few minutes.
Dana, thank you. A Portage man is facing charges accused of killing a dog by hitting it on the head with a hammer. Police arrested 31-year-old Brandon Shearer at the Oakwood Estates trailer park in Lewiston today. He told Columbia County deputies he was upset with the dog for urinating and defecating in the house, so he took it outside to put it down.
The man accused of kidnapping 13-year-old Jamie Kloss is speaking out from jail. A reporter from WCCO-TV in Minneapolis wrote a letter to Patterson asking him to call her, and during their conversation, Patterson says he wants to talk to Jamie but knows he can't and says he loved her.
I just we're just like watching TV, playing board games, and talking about stuff. We clicked a lot because like everything we made was homemade.
Investigators say Patterson has confessed to killing Kloss's parents back in October after breaking into their home. They say he kept Jamie at a cabin in Douglas County, often forcing her to stay under the bed for several hours. Kloss escaped in January. Patterson is due back in court March 27th.
New Zealand's Prime Minister plans to introduce new gun laws after Friday's deadly mosque attacks. She was one of several government officials who received a manifesto from the suspect just as the attacks began in Christchurch. She says the government has agreed on more restricted gun laws and plans to implement them within the next 10 days. The country's police commissioner says the Australian man acted alone when he shot and killed 50 people. Authorities say he plans to represent himself at his trial, raising fears he may use it as a platform for his white nationalist views. Congress plans to investigate the FAA approval process of the Boeing 737 MAX. Ethiopia's transport minister says that early data from the black boxes shows a clear similarity to the crash of a Lion Air Boeing 730 MAX 8 in Indonesia last October. Physical evidence found at the crash scene in Africa includes the plane's jack screw. It was set in a dive position, indicating there may have been an issue with Boeing's automated flight control software. Boeing's pilot training is also being questioned. CBS News has learned U.S. pilots were given initial training of 56 minutes on an iPad about the differences between new Boeing MAX planes and older 737s.
The daughter of the late Senator John McCain fired back at President Trump today on ABC's The View.
Your life is spent on your weekends, not with your family, not with your friends, but obsessing over great men you could never live up to.
Her response comes after President Trump tweeted attacks against her father. In one of those tweets, the president accused Senator McCain of trying to distribute the Russian dossier to the press before the 2016 election. The controversial memo's alleged conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia. Senator McCain gave the dossier to the FBI after the election. His longtime friend and Trump ally, Senator Lindsey Graham, defended the late senator's handling of the dossier at an event today, saying he acted responsibly. Senator McCain passed away 7 months ago after battling brain cancer.
Another senator is hoping to become the Democratic nomination for president. New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand announced her campaign today. Many are waiting to see if her former Vice President Joe Biden will announce a candidacy, something he hinted at over the weekend. A Dane County judge plans to issue a ruling soon on a lawsuit alleging that lawmakers convened illegally during a lame duck session last year, but did not elaborate on when that decision will come. Judge Richard Neese ended a court hearing today without making a decision after listening to oral arguments for 2 hours. The lawsuit alleges that lawmakers convened illegally during the extraordinary session last year. Liberal groups, including the League of Women Voters, filed the lawsuit in January. The Republican-controlled state legislature is trying to get the case thrown out, arguing that by the defendants' logic, everything ever passed during an extraordinary session would be considered invalid, which would include dozens of laws.
It would be a grave violation of the separation of powers, and I dare say perhaps the most consequential decision any court in the state's history has entered, to strike down effectively 3,000 plus pages of statutes.
It is not only the court's place, but the court's duty to ensure compliance with the Constitution. And the argument that the legislature puts forward here is completely inconsistent with that.
The lame duck laws strip or limit certain powers from Governor Evers and Attorney General Josh Kaul. Republican legislative leaders have said multiple times that their bills are constitutional. Tonight only on News 3 Now at 10, we are helping you protect your parents and grandparents.
We are sharing some of the resources available to stop them from falling for phone scams. That's coming up next. Welcome back. Half of the calls you get this year on your phone will be spam or fraud attempts. According to government officials, it's a first-of-its-kind study by the FCC, and the elderly, of course, are most at risk for falling for these robocalls.
Well, we want to help you help your parents and grandparents. Leah Lynchide has the answer in tonight's Call for Action.
You
could say 78-year-old Linda Tate marches to the beat of her own trombone.
I try to stay fairly well occupied, both keep body and mind.
That's an understatement. Just take a look around her home.
I read a lot. I see there's a lot of books in here.
Between words of wisdom from Maya, a weekly visit to the local Y, and the occasional outdoor stroll for some bird sighting,
I thought about getting my snowshoes out.
Linda's keeping her mind sharp and trying not to be flat.
I haven't gone through the whole book yet, so I'm still working on a lot of it.
She's also giving us a lesson in avoiding scam calls.
It's a very tricky kind of thing.
Linda says she's gotten them frequently. Recently, one threatening to kick her off Medicare.
If you not act soon, Medicare will label you ineligible for coverage.
Some of it's more soft-spoken, but some of it's really much more of a threatening tone. And I always let those things go to voicemail. If I don't recognize a number.
As you might imagine, Linda's not someone to fall easily for such a scam. She double-checks every number that comes in before she picks up.
I have it all written down on a 3x5 card that I keep by my phone, and I can check it. And if it's not on that card and it's not a legitimate service, they don't get called back.
It's a huge problem, and it's increasingly becoming worse.
Not everyone is so savvy, especially the elderly, says Courtney Anclam with AARP.
They're more likely to answer the phone and stay on the phone and not hang up on scammers. And because they're home more often, they're more likely to receive those calls.
A first-of-its-kind report by the Federal Trade Commission counts 232,000 robocall complaints just last year, and that number is on the rise. Maybe you think you won't fall for them, but what about your parents or grandparents? Start by signing them up for their carrier's robocall alert service. AT&T, Verizon, US Cellular, and others offer services to alert you if an incoming call might be a scam. Company policy and price can differ, so call your own carrier to get the details. And download a call-blocking app for your cell. It can intercept robocalls before they even ring your phone. Nomo Robo and RoboKiller both have good reputations. And locally, there are ways to see what kinds of scams are popping up in your area.
And we have a scam tracker map so that people can see the scams in their area that are being reported. They can also report to the FTC, who also collects data.
This is AARP's website, where you can see what kinds of scams or calls are happening in your city or even your neighborhood.
They will continue to call people and make them think they just have to have this thing or else.
Linda's strategy for outsmarting scammers doesn't need fine-tuning. She relies on good old-fashioned skepticism.
I always question, something that comes in like that. It sounds at least threatening.
And that's music to our ears. AARP also offers something called Scam Tracker presentations to cities, churches, nursing homes, or other organizations where they can offer more prevention tips, plus resources to folks in their own homes. If you're interested in bringing one to your neighborhood, head on over to this story over on channel3000.com to learn how. With this call for action, I'm Leah Lynchide.
Turning now to weather, we're ready for warm-up, we're ready for dry weather, we're ready for spring, and Dana Fulton joins us the very latest.
Good news, all of the above included in the next few days. A little bit of a warm-up, our dry weather continues, and yes, spring right around the corner. Now today we hit a high of 44, it was right where we should be for the afternoon, mid-40s. Overnight was a little chillier than where we should have been at, in the low 20s to start off the morning. Now, tomorrow morning is going to be pretty close. We'll be in the mid-20s, though, so it'll be a little chilly, but later in the day, things look pretty good for us. Overnight, our Doppler track is going to stay pretty quiet. We are expecting a partly cloudy sky, so we'll have a few clouds build on in, but we have high pressure just ridging through the Midwest and the plains. It's keeping things mostly quiet and calm for us. A little westerly flow into southern Wisconsin. It'll switch to become a little more southwest for us as we head into your Tuesday. This low pressure off to the northwest, it is going to swing south, but we're not expecting anything for us. We're going to keep it all north and south of Madison. For your Tuesday, plan on a mostly sunny sky. Temperatures will actually be a little warmer for tomorrow afternoon. By Wednesday, we are going to have a little bit of rain slide south of Wisconsin and some flurry chances up to the north. But again, our skies should stay partly cloudy for Wednesday, afternoon. Heading into Thursday, we have a mostly sunny sky, and that's going to continue into Friday. So the end of the week, really not looking too bad for us. Overnight temperatures are going to drop again. It's going to be a little chilly early in the day. Thankfully, our breeze breeze stays pretty light, even though it is coming from the southwest. It's not going to factor in too much of a wind chill for us. Temperatures will be in the mid-20s early on in the day, close to 30 though, a little further south along the state line. By Tuesday afternoon, we're expecting those temperatures to be in the upper 40s, so close to 50 for us. Heading into Wednesday, we cool down yet again early in the day to about freezing, and then by Wednesday afternoon, we're looking at high temperatures close to 50. The same goes for Thursday. So overall, our March, actually, we're a little below average. We're a little behind. I know the last few days it hasn't been too bad. We had a little warm up last week, and this weekend was close to average. It's just that we started the month off so low. Of course, on the 4th, about 30 degrees below average, 21 degrees below average on the 5th. So it's going to take a little bit to help us bump back up for our monthly departure from the norm. The good news, though, as we look out for our next 7 to 10 days, we really are expecting some warmer temperatures. Again, overnight, we're falling to about 26. It's going to be partly cloudy and a little chilly early in the day. 48 the high for the afternoon under a mostly sunny sky, and it's just going to be pleasant outside for Tuesday. First day of spring on Wednesday. Temps will be close to 50 in the afternoon, both Wednesday and Thursday, and we just continue to warm on up in the mid-50s for Friday, close to 60 on Saturday, and our next chance for rain is going to come in, start to develop late Saturday night, a slight chance for a Saturday night, and then it looks like it's going to increase Sunday and into Monday right now. Exact timing, still a little time to wiggle that out, but if you have big outdoor weekend plans, I recommend Saturday over Sunday right now.
All right, looking good.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we're getting you ready for March Madness. Stay tuned for sports next.
The Badger men's basketball team heads to San Jose for the first round of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. The Badgers play Oregon Friday afternoon, 3:30 Madison time. The game will be televised on TBS. Oregon was having a pretty so-so year, but then all of a sudden, the Ducks have won 8 in a row. One of their best players is Peyton Pritchard, who Wisconsin recruited a few years ago. Oregon's best player is Bol Bol, the top NBA recruit, but he was hurt in January and won't play against the Badgers. Howard Moore is the Wisconsin assistant leading the scouting of Oregon, and here's what he sees in the Badgers' opponent.
Illinois is real similar to what Oregon does as far as from an offensive standpoint. You know, they really spread the floor and try to get some cuts going and try to get some ball screens. And, you know, they got a really good lead guard in Pritchard, so we got to keep him under control and corral him and not let him get open shots from the three-point line. And they got a lot of guys that can make them from three. Our guys understand, and we have enough guys around us that understands how we do things and why we do certain things the way we do it. And as long as we stay with those things, we'll be fine.
Marquette is also a number 5 seed, is off to Hartford, Connecticut to face Murray State at about 3:30 Thursday afternoon. The Golden Eagles have been wobbling a bit lately. They've lost 5 of the last 6, but the tournament is a fresh start for everyone, and Steve Wojciechowski says it's all good. There's nothing like playing on the biggest stage in college basketball.
You know, pressure is when you're sitting on your couch and you know your name's not going to be called. I mean, that stinks. I mean, this is awesome. Are you kidding me? We get to play in the NCAA tournament with this group of kids. I love my team. I don't want it to end, and we got more ball to play.
The Badger women's hockey team is going back to the NCAA Frozen Four. Wisconsin has the second game of the national semifinals Friday. They'll face 2-time defending champion Clarkson at 6 Central Time. The first semifinal at 3 features another WCHA team, Minnesota, against Cornell. The tournament will be played at Quinnipiac University in Hamden, Connecticut. Mark Johnson's team is the overall number 1 seed in the tournament. They're coming off a 4-0 quarterfinal win against Syracuse last Saturday. The Badgers look forward to the chance to playing the defending champions, and Johnson says the whole Frozen Four tournament should be pretty entertaining.
This time you're down to 4 teams. Everybody's capable of winning the whole thing. You're only 2 games away from it, so both teams are going to be excited to play, and as you say all along, you know, it's going to come down to your ability to execute at the right time and somebody make a play and you know, be opportunistic. You know, 4 good teams, 4 teams earn the right to be there, and certainly it's up for grabs, and we're certainly looking forward to the challenge and what lies ahead of us and our opportunity.
The bracket is out for the NCAA women's basketball tournament. Actually, ESPN mistakenly posted the bracket 4 hours before it should have been, but here are the number 1 seeds anyway. Baylor, the number 1 overall seed. Notre Dame, Louisville, and Mississippi State, the other number 1 seeds. Those 3 were number 1 seeds last year, too. We'll be right back.
Warmer weather expected for the next few days, along with some sunshine. We're in a dry pattern for the rest of the week.
All right, Dana, thanks. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.
Do something good, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.